All right, gang. Welcome everyone to our placement and persistency boot camp. Typically, what we try to do is on Thursday nights, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, usually do a sales question and answer. But I really want to do this boot camp because I think it's very important to get y'all minds right about placement and persistency. I always say this, that placement and persistency can be the most profitable thing that you can ever do in the insurance business, or it could be the silent assassin that kills your business and will wipe you out of the insurance industry like that. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, as you know, that we get paid on advance, which means that if a client cancels their policy sometime in the first 9 months, then you get what we call a chargeback in commissions. In other words, the insurance carrier gave you a temporary loan, okay, of 9 months of your commissions, but whenever the client quits their policy within those 9 months will result in a chargeback. And, we can't get rid of chargeback completely, okay, but we can minimize it towards, really nothing. It's like barely a blip on the radar. We don't really feel it, okay? But if you don't watch your placement persistency, getting your policies issued and keeping them on the books, then you're going out there serving clients for nothing. You're not getting paid, right? Because they're going to, take those chargebacks from your commission, and all of a sudden you're not making zero money. Okay. So there's a reason why you want to do this properly, why you want to pay attention to it from jump, okay, from the very beginning. Okay. So we've got a lot of new agents on here, and so I can't emphasize enough how important it is to get this super important skill down. And as I've always said, as I'm continuing to say, that you don't rise to the level of your goals, you settle to the level of your processes. And that's out of the book Atomic Habits by James Cleary. And so the placement of persistency is part of the sales process. And if you implement key things in the sales process, all right, you are going to have the minimum chargebacks, maximum placement and persistency, and then be tremendously profitable. Okay, so I just really want to give you really the full force of the incentive to make sure you get this key skill down. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into it and get rolling. All right. So we're gonna monitor my chat line here. So if you guys have questions as we go along, I certainly can see them. Okay. All right. So the keys to placement and persistency. So everything that we do, all our sales process, whether we're doing telesales or in-home sales, we baseline it on our ATM submarine. In other words, this is our sales process that I've made famous in the Alliance, okay? And I'm not going to teach this sales process. I'm going to teach it at some point very soon. Could be next week. We'll do an in-home appointment boot camp. Okay, this is purely focused on the last compartment post-sell, but placement and persistency happens all throughout the 7-step ATM submarine process. Okay, starting with bond and rapport, upfront contract, pain finding, settling on the budget, doing the budget step, the decision step, the fulfillment step, and the post-sale step. And so I know some of you might be, if you haven't studied our 7-step sales process, this might be a little bit, maybe we're getting it backwards for you, but don't fret. I'll cover some of it, but I want to emphasize and hit some real key points for placement and persistency within the 7 steps. The real meat of placement and persistency happens in the post-sale process, but there's little chunks along the way, okay, like little popcorn, the trail of popcorn runs throughout this entire process. So I'm going to hit the highlights in some of these sections, but I'm not going to teach each section. They'll be, down the road. And I actually, it's on our training website. So on our training website, I go through each one of these compartments in a really, not excruciating detail, but enough detail for you to understand what it's about, okay? So having said that, let's go ahead and give you some of the keys in each one of these sections that is real key to placement and persistency. Let's define placement and persistency. What is placement rate? Placement rate is out of the numbers of applications you submit, placement is the number of policies that get issued and you get paid a commission on it, okay? So for example, if you in 1 week submitted 10 applications, if you had 7 issued, the other 3 that didn't get issued because they declined, the client just changed their mind, decided not to take the policy. When the insurance company drafted the account, there was no money in the account, okay? Those could be reasons why the client does not take the policy. So if you got 7 issued out of 10 policies submitted, you have a 75% or 70% placement rate, okay? That's all right. The average placement rate in the alliance is 75%. So you're actually behind, okay? You're you're below the average, okay? So out of 10 policies, we'd like to see 8 issued, that's 80%, okay? That's a really good placement rate. 90% are probably the top in my business. The top agents get a 90% placement rate. I don't know if too many people over time, as they've submitted applications, where you've seen 100% placement rate, but that's the definition of placement, okay? And so we'll talk about the keys to placing a policy, getting it issued paid. So let's talk about what persistency is. Persistency is how long the client keeps their policy. Now, our goal is to sell a policy to a client that will keep it until they die, okay? Or until the term is over with, all right? Either one. And so that means the client's going to keep their policy at least for 9 months, so you don't get a chargeback, and then beyond, all right? The average persistency at 13 months is about 75%, okay? So throughout the alliance, 75% have stayed on the books at the end of by the 13th month. So that's kind of how you measure how you're doing compared to the average, okay? So hopefully that made sense. So out of the 8, let's say you got 8 placed out of 10. Out of the 8, we're hoping that you're going to keep, maybe 6 or 7 on the books at the end of the 13th month. If you're right in that range, then you're doing pretty good, okay? So that's the whole idea of placement persistency. Now, atrocious placement rate, and I've seen this happen, where agents get 50% of their policies placed, and see if I can. The text, Jenny. I've seen agents just terrible placement rates. So for example, I've seen some agents, they turn in, 5 applications, they get 1 placed, okay, or 2 placed. Terrible. That just means they don't know what they're doing. They're writing the wrong policy on the client. They're not asking the questions properly, all kinds of problems. You're getting that rate. The insurance carrier they're not going to keep you on long, okay? They will be quick to let us know that there's a problem, and then they're going to give you a little bit of a grace period, but if you don't get that number turned around, they're going to fire you, and they will never bring you on, okay? Even though you might have fixed your problem, they will never, thank you very much. They will never consider bringing you back again, okay? Tell you what, Phoenix is real dry. Keep forgetting how dry it can get out here. So you don't ever want to get in trouble with placement rate with the carrier. And that goes for persistency too. They'll just fire you and never, ever consider bringing it on. And there's nothing we could do. We could try to advocate, well, this is a good person and they turned it around and, they found Jesus and they're going to church and, they got 3 young kids and we could say all that stuff. They could say, no, we never want this agent ever again to write business for us because they've proven to be unreliable. They basically say, you suck so bad, we'll never, ever consider you to sell insurance for us in the future. Okay. I'm not exaggerating either. They will never bring you on. You are dead to them for the rest of your career. And there are certain carriers that are some of our key companies that you do not want that to happen to you. I promise you'll regret it. Your entire career, you're going to regret that you ever got fired by a carrier. Like, seriously, folks. That doesn't mean it's the end of the world, because we've got 50 carriers, but some of our key carriers, you're going to kick yourself every time when you could have wrote someone on one of these real key policies with one of these carriers. So don't ever, ever be in a situation where you get fired by a carrier. There are other reasons why you get fired by a carrier. Like okay, so let me address it here. If you do funny stuff, like if they call you and ask, or, they ask, does the client wish this, or how's the client answer this question? And if you don't call the client and get the client to tell you what the answer is, if you just tell the insurance company, like pretending that you answer for the client, they're going to fire your ass. Okay. You do anything unethical, they're going to fire you and they will never bring you back. Okay. Do not ever do anything unethical. Honestly, I shouldn't have to say that, really, right? I shouldn't have to say that, but I have to say it because sometimes you get under this financial pressure situation and you really need this, $1,000 in your account, right? And it's getting hung up in underwriting because the carrier wants to find out the answer to a particular question. They want you to ask the question again, then they want you to tell them what the answer is. Okay. You have to call the client and you have to ask them the question, right? You can't fib. You can't. All right. Does that make sense? Said, no, ever don't do that. Okay. Okay, cool. So we do things the right way. At the Abuyuan Financial Group, we stand on integrity. We serve clients. We are totally above board and honest. We don't let pressure, financial pressure and otherwise, make us compromise our integrity. I don't care how much you need that policy issued. You will always do things the right way on our team, okay? Again, I shouldn't have to say that, but I'm saying it. So I'm recording this, okay? So I'm documenting that I'm teaching my agents that you need to do things properly the right way. Otherwise, you're going to get your butt fired, okay? Just want you to make sure you understand that. You never want to be put in a situation like that, okay? And then the same for placement and persistency. You have to perform. They are not going to give you a pass on that. We can do things to tell them, hey, don't fire them yet. We're working with them. There's only so much of that we can do. And then there's a point they say, we haven't seen any change in the last 30 days. We got to let them go. Okay. And there's nothing I can do. All right. I know I'm hitting that hard, but I just want you guys to understand why you need to get this process done properly. Okay. Does anyone have any questions on that at all? Like unmute and ask me or chat box me. Any questions on that? Okay, I'm going to assume silence is an affirmative. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get this party started. Okay. All right, so there are general guidelines and rules. Like if you operate under these general guidelines, you're always going to be doing the right thing for the client in terms of placement and persistency. Okay, and that's our summary. And just to remind you, there's a 7-step process. Now, the first principle is you really got to know your client. It's hard for telesales. It's harder in telesales than in-home appointments. Tell you what, in-home appointments are so easy to do. In-home appointments, so easy to take care of the client and close the client. The closing rates are way higher. They're double that of telesales, like literally double. And they could be triple telesales once you get good at in-home appointments. So you have to know your clients. So that means you have to ask questions. You have to know everything about them, right? You have to listen more than telling them. Selling is not telling. Selling is asking questions, learning about the clients, learning about their family, learning about their beneficiary, finding out who they are. You need to know the names of their children. So when you tell me, Alex, I'm fired up, I took care of a client, I'm going to ask you the typical questions, and this tells me whether you suck, okay, or you're really good. I'm going to say, what's the children's names? Tell me the beneficiary's name. What's the relationship with the beneficiary? How much do they need? Why do they need that much? What is it the client's trying to accomplish? I'm going to ask you, I'm going to pepper you with all these questions. And if you don't know those questions, then I'm going to tell you, dude, you're going to risk your policy lapsing, getting a chargeback because you don't know these fundamental questions. How do you know your client if you don't know what makes them tick? You don't know why they need it. You don't have any clue who their children are or who their beneficiaries are. Okay. You don't know why, why they even sent the lead in. Okay. You need to listen to your client. You get to know them. This is not a transactional process where it's not the wham bam thank you ma'am process. Okay. It's the get to know your client so they know that you care about them because you want to know everything about them. Okay. You err on the side of getting to know them more than less. Okay. So the general rule there is know your client by asking questions and listening to them. And sometimes it's listening to what they're not saying. Okay. If they're not saying what you need to hear to make you feel comfortable that they really want this product and they really need it, then you need to ask questions until you feel totally comfortable that you understand the client. Okay. The second thing is you got to be proactive in everything. You cannot manage by exception when it comes to life insurance sales. You have to proactively do things like reminding the client of when their premium payments can be coming out, like giving them a call. You got to be proactive in looking for those opportunities to look for buyer's remorse. And we'll cover some of those things specifically later within the compartments of the submarine. But you have to anticipate things that are going to happen. Okay, the best salespeople are the ones that anticipates the client's needs. And so think of proactively protecting your policy, proactively making sure that the client can qualify, proactively understanding the underwriting guidelines, and then proactively asking the right questions so you understand the client's health situation. Proactive, be always proactive. Leverage technology. Tell you what, gang, if you don't have a CRM, now our CRM that we use is Go High Level. Go High Level, you can automate all your emails to the client. Each month you can send them a newsletter. You can send them an email. Hey, how you doing? This is Alex. Today's National Life Insurance Month. Okay, and here's a great article on life insurance. Hey, if there's anything else you need, let me know. You can put together, like if you have ChatGPT or one of the AI systems, you can, I promise you can write your own newsletter. You just pick a subject. Let's talk about the advantages of Index Universal Life. And so type into one of these ChatGPT type applications. I use one. I can't remember which one I use. But you just type in the subject and then it writes you an entire paragraph. You can write your own newsletters. Leverage technology. AI technology rocks. And you can use like our Go High Level system. If you want to know how to use it or take advantage of it, it's like, I forgot what we're charging for that. But we're building it out. We're going to build out an awesome system. But leverage technology and the Alliance CRM. But technology is your friend when it comes to placement and persistency. Then the final principle is always focus on value over price. It is not about the death benefit. It's about what the death benefit will do, right? Remember, you're not buying a drill because a drill can spin and it's a school power tool. You're buying the hole that drill provides. Likewise, When you're selling a client and taking care of them, you're focusing on what this program will do for them, okay? How it will solve their pain, how it will take care of their problem, and the price is the price. But you don't sell on price, you sell on what this will do for them, the value of the product. They have to be able to afford it, okay? So you got to make sure that it's in the bounds of affordability, but always talk about what this policy will do for them, not the death benefit, okay? We'll get into some more details, but those are 4 general rules. If you keep that in your head every time you're talking to a client, your replacement persistency is going to be super high. Okay, this goes to placement rate, making sure that you're writing the correct policy on a client. You have to know your underwriting guidelines. So this is the idea of being proactive in knowing your product and knowing the underwriting guidelines of your product. A lot of people think that you got to know the features and benefits of the product. That ain't the case, man. The real thing you need to learn is underwriting, okay? You need to know the underwriting guidelines because you need to know whether or not you're writing a policy on a client that can't get underwritten on it, right? So I'm going to give some key things to think about during the underwriting process. Number one, you need to know their medications, okay? You need to know which medication they're taking and why they're taking that medication. Sometimes these medications are dual use, dual purpose medications. And what's interesting is that particular medication can be used for something that's acceptable for the carrier, or that same medication can be used for something that's unacceptable to the carrier, which will cause a decline, okay? So that is why you need to make sure you know why they're taking that medication, okay? Surgeries. Have they had any major surgeries where they had to stay overnight? You need to know about why they went for surgery. What was the surgery supposed to do? How long were they in the hospital? How long ago was that surgery? Typically, if they had a major surgery where they stayed overnight in the hospital, the carriers are not going to underwrite it within 6 months of that surgery. They need to either make sure they're 6 months out from that surgery, or they've gotten the final all clear from the physician. That could be like 6 weeks. They'll have their 6-week checkup, and then that determines that everything's good. Okay, so either one, but you need to know how long ago that surgery was and what that surgery was for. Again, you're armed with knowledge, so should you call an underwriter to get an underwriting risk assessment, you know how to answer those questions when they ask you, okay? Height and weight guidelines. You need to make sure you know what their height and weight is. And sometimes it's on the lead, sometimes it's not. You need to ask them what their height and weight is. And remember, people lie about their height and weight, okay? Now, we have some carriers that do not have a build chart. Okay, there is no height and weight guidelines. I think Royal Neighbors, I think, is one of the carriers that have 0 height and weight guidelines. We have some other ones that are as well. No height and weight guidelines. The ones that do height and weight guidelines, you need to make sure that they fit within the guidelines. One thing that drives me crazy is when a client gets a policy declined because of information that they put on the application. Like clearly, they're 5'4", 400 pounds, and they still submit the application to a carrier that has a height and weight guideline where they get automatically declined because, it's in your control, dude. Come on, man. You need to know what you're working with, okay? And we'll show you where to go, to find that information, okay? Issue ages. Again, you need to know how old the client is, and then whether or not the product you're writing them, they're within the issue age range. Some of the whole life products, the lowest age range might be 50. Some are 45. Some are 40. Okay, but I'll have agents that try to shove their client into they're 40 years old, but they try to to write a policy on them with a whole life policy where the minimum age is 50, and they still will submit it. Like, it just, come on, man. Be proactive in learning what what policy issue ages are. All right. Call for risk assessments. Okay. So once you get all this information from the client, typically I'm all for doing it when you book the appointment is finding out their medications, surgeries, establishing their height and weight, right? I want to know. And then before I meet with them, let's say I have an appointment the next day, I still can call underwriting and get a risk assessment to run everything by the underwriter to see if the client can fit into the product. Okay. This is the bottom line, man. Don't get burned for the things that you can't control when it comes to underwriting. All right. So let's see if I can let's show you where some of these underwriting tools are. Okay, so one of the first things to help you with underwriting is the Alliance underwriting tool. Okay, so you go to resources, you go to Alliance underwriting tool. This tool is $15 a month. Okay, you would put all your information in, go to next step, and then you would pay for it. It's $15 a month. And it's a great tool to use. And I've got videos on how to use this tool. Okay. This is where you can put all the information on the client, put their medications. You can see here that my last client, I put all this, the health conditions, diabetes, high blood pressure, AFib, asthma, and then the medications they're taking, Eliquis, omeprazole, I don't know how to pronounce that, insulin, albuterol. Okay. And then tell me what carriers could cover them, right? And this is a great way. Again, I've got videos on this. I'm not going to go into the detail, but this is where you can put everything about the client in and then find out what carriers are going to cover them, right? Another great location is resources, then going to Alliance University. So you click on Alliance University, or actually it might even be in connections, advanced resources. Okay, Alliance University. So resources, Alliance University. Okay. So this is just amazing. We have some of the best resources. You click on resources. So this is where you can get another way of underwriting and finding out all the client situations. You go, like if you're writing final expense, you go to the final expense underwriting grid. And then let's say you have a client has AFib, atrial fibrillation. Okay. And they want a whole life final expense policy. So you go to atrial fibrillation, AFib, and it tells you which clients can cover them. So Royal Arcanum graded whole life will cover between ages 45 and 85. So it's green. So yes. AIG guaranteed issue. Yes. Aflac final expense. Yes. I don't think we do them anymore. So you see all these okays. So these are all the companies that are good with that. Okay. Let's take a look at bipolar. American Apical Platinum Decline If. So you can see that we can cover bipolar, so on. Okay. So it's a great place to find out. Then we got the mortgage term underwriting grid. So if you're writing a term policy, simplified issue term, you can do the same thing. It's all listed by different types of health situations that the client has. And then product pocket guide goes into the details of every product so you can get the general parameters of a product, such as, so let's go simplified issue, final expense, whole life. So let's take a look at Mutual of Omaha Living Promise. It'll give you all the parameters of the product. So you can see, have the issue ages. So if you got a 40-year-old client, you're not going to cover them with Mutual of Omaha Living Promise because it's outside the age range. Okay. Let's see if you got a 40-year-old client. Let's see if CFG will cover them. Well, look, ages 18 to 85. Lo and behold, CFG can cover them. Okay. So this is how you know. Now, excuse me. I'm going to sneeze. I don't know how why my allergies are acting up. Anyway, so you got the face value amounts. So if your client's looking for 50,000, well, we may not be able to cover 50,000. But here's Mutual of Omaha, 50,000 max face value on a level plan. So you see how some of these things will tell you if a client has an issue, all the different parameters that can be covered by that product using the simple product pocket guide. Okay, so another way to determine if your client can get into the product or not. So do you see what we do at the Alliance? We give you all the tools so that you can do really good on the placement side. All right, does that make sense, gang? We have just some of the best stuff, man, best infrastructure. You should be fired up to be involved with the Alliance because I don't know of any carriers that have the breadth of the things that we have to help you, the agent, figure stuff out. And bottom line is, if you can't figure it out, call us, call myself, call Joy, call the carrier, and they will help you. Okay. So know your underwriting guideline. I tell you what, you know the tools that you have, learn the tools to use. Your placement rate should be super high. Okay. Does anyone have any questions on that at all? I don't think I'm monitoring my chat. Okay, I got my chat up. All right. Okay, let's continue. Okay, yeah. So have all these tools ready and available to you when you're with a client, whether it's on your phone, iPhone, on your tablet, all this stuff you can access on your phone, on your tablet, but make sure you know how to click and get to it right away. All right. Yeah. Okay. Use the underwriting tool. Okay. So let's go through parts of the, actually, I think I cover all 7 sections, but the things that are key to placement and persistency, again, remember, know your client. The only way to know your client is creating bond and rapport with them. So that's the first compartment in our submarine process, is creating bond and rapport, because a client, you need to develop in the client a trust level with you. Okay. Trust is everything. And you have to get this part right, because if you don't get this part right, then you can't ask the penetrating pain questions so that you can understand why they need this and their emotional need. Okay. But without bond and rapport, man, you're going to suck at it. And then placement and persistency will go down the tubes. So we've got some great books on bond and rapport. I really have some of my best stuffs on bond and rapport. On our training website, we do have bond and rapport module that just talk purely about creating bond and rapport with the client. I'm just emphasizing here for placement persistency, you don't do this well, your placement persistency is going to suck. Okay. All right. The next step is the upfront contract. What is the upfront contract? Again, I'm not going to get into the detail, but it's you setting the rest of the appointment up and letting the client know this is what's going to happen. The most important feature of the upfront contract is to make sure they know that they're in control. It's like, look, this is what's going to happen, blah, blah, blah. And you're in control, George. So if you don't think this is going the right way, you can just throw me out of your house. Okay. And I smile, and you can ask me to leave and we just part as friends. Okay. So I just want you to know, but if you continue to see the validity of me sitting here, then let's just keep going, man. So upfront contract, real important points. Clearly identify the expectations, the outcome of our meeting. Okay. Either they're going to pick something that will help them, or I can't help them and I'll leave. Okay, that's the basic expectations. I'm not going to be a slimy salesperson. I'm not going to tell them they got to buy something, but I'm going to make sure that they know, number one, that they're in control and what to expect at the end of our meeting. And then they agree to it. You have to ask them, okay, does that sound good to you, Joe? How's that hit you? What are your thoughts? You got any questions about what's going to happen over the next few minutes? Okay. Upfront contract needs to be there so everyone's expectations are aligned. All right. We have this thing we call no mutual mystification. Do not fake yourself out thinking that you've set the outcome and it's going to happen. You have to define it and make sure they are on board with you. You can't just fake yourself out thinking that the client's going to buy or thinking anything about the client. You have to be clear about what's going to happen so that no one's faking each other out. Okay. So the next part is pain finding. I am so animate because you will not close a client that deserves our help if you don't have bond rapport and if you don't have pain. If they don't have an emotional need why they need this, right, then your policy is not going to stick. In fact, what some clients will do is they will buy the policy just to get you out of their house, okay, because you're being an a-hole salesperson. Okay, don't be an a-hole salesperson, all right? Pain finding, okay? You can't sell anyone if you can't identify their pain, why they need this. And you have to be asking these questions, questions like, Joe, why am I here? What do you want this policy to do for you? You have to get to their emotional need. The 11th commandment, thou shalt not fooleth thyself. Okay. Don't fake yourself out thinking that you found the client's pain, because until you ask 12 questions, you'll never get to the real reason why they need this. Okay. And you got to make sure you know that. And I'm going to pain finding teaching right now, but it's important for placement and persistency because you've got to make sure that you do your job here. The other thing is they're the ones talking, not you. You're asking questions, which keeps you in control, but they're the ones talking. Keep them talking, okay? Again, I don't care if you're doing in-home appointments, you're doing telesales, you got to get them doing the talking. Again, you have many more challenges in telesales to create modern rapport and to do good pain finding. Okay, and so that's why the closing rates are like 20%. You can get them up to like 30, 40%, but that involves a lot of follow-up. We have some great training on it. The problem with telesales is it's our least favorable place in persistency. People that don't do telesales right will have the worst place in a persistency. You will get so many chargebacks, you're going to have your head spin. You might start getting 1,500 one week, 2,000 the next week, 3,000 next week. And then when your chargebacks start catching up to you, you're expecting 4,000 next week. The entire amount's wiped out because you're getting chargebacks and you get zero. And then you get some more chargebacks. So your next paycheck, you're expecting 2,500 gets sucked in, so you don't get paid. Okay, does that make sense? So you got to make sure that the pain finding is done properly to the point where you walk away because you can't identify the emotional need that the client wants this. All right. So you make sure you do this properly. Again, I've got hour-long videos on pain finding, but for placement persistency, you need to do this part right. Again, what's it sounding like? Okay, I'm just going to cut to the chase. You have to do the sales submarine properly to make sure you've got the highest place of persistency. That's what the sales submarine, ATM submarine does for you, okay? It ensures you're going to have the maximum place of persistency. So again, it sounds like I'm teaching it. I'm not teaching it, but I'm emphasizing the things that are super important, okay? On the budget step, you need to confirm that your job is to get it in their budget. You need to make them feel comfortable. The outcome of this step is they're comfortable that you're going to find them a solution they can afford. Okay. And if you cannot, you tell them that I'll walk away. If I can't give you something you can afford, then why should you buy it? You need to afford it. Okay. Does that make sense? You need to fit it into their budget. And if you can't, you need to walk away, because if you're doing some kind of slick salesy technique, it's going to kill you, man. Seriously, you cannot be too slick in the sales process. You need to really exercise the discipline, right? That you're going to be able to get that in their budget. And if you can't, you can't. Okay. Then there's the probing questions. Depending on how good you are in sales, you can ask, if you did the pain finding right, their budget probably went up of how much they're willing to pay for this. And so if you've got enough bond report the client, you feel like the juju's good, you can ask them straight up. So give me a ballpark. It's just round numbers. Those are soft ways of asking, what can you afford? What is this? How much do you think you can afford to pay for this policy? And then you get a budget, then you work everything around that budget. And when I show options in the fulfillment side, I got their budget, but I'll show 10% above, 10% below if I have their budget. If I don't have their budget, then I will have huge swings on the high, medium, low, the 3 option close. I'll get to that later. But this is where you can just figure out where they're at budget-wise. Okay, so the decision process. This is where you establish their decision-making process. In other words, this is how you set up the decision-making process for the client to make a decision. And this is where you get rid of the think about it. Okay. So explain the decision process. And again, I'm going to run out of time, but in essence, what you're doing here is you're telling them, hey, Joe and Mary, let me explain to you what the next step in this process is. Basically, what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to ask you a bunch more questions, health questions, and I'm going to determine which product's going to be the right one for you. Then I'm going to work up 3 different premium options, okay, high, medium, and low, and then you're going to tell me which option you think will meet your needs in your budget, okay? And again, I want to emphasize that I want to make sure that you pick something that's affordable, okay? Now, there's what most of my clients do is they can't think about it. A lot of people say, I want to think about it. Well, you can't think about it because we don't know if you're going to qualify. The point of this process is to see if you qualify. So all we're going to do is get you apply for a premium that you can afford and then send it into the carrier. And then they're going to think about you. And they're going to decide whether or not they're going to issue the policy, but there's nothing to think about, okay, until we know the policy is issued. Once they issue the policy, hopefully, they're going to assemble the policy, send it back to you, and then you and I are going to meet again, and we're going to open it up, and we're going to take a look and see if it's got everything you want in it, everything that you need, and then that then allows us to think about raising the coverage or lowering the coverage, which would affect the premium. Okay, does that make sense? So tonight is not think about it night. All we're going to do is pick the premium that best meets your needs and budget. Makes sense, Joe and Mary? How's that sound? And then you just shut up and let them answer that question. This is where the close happens, okay? So we tell them tonight's not think about it night. Okay, it's just reiterating what I was going to say. Now, the other thing I'm going to tell them too is, again, this is managing expectations. This is being proactive. So this is being proactive. You tell them, you know what? You may not get approved. You could get declined. And I don't want you to get mad at me. We're going to do the best we can to get you approved. But if for some reason they should decline you, I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you other options that you're going to be able to get into that will help you. Okay. So all is not lost should you get declined. I'm going to do my best to get you covered. But if that's not the case, I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you some other options. But at least through this process, we know that we're going to get you the best product at the best price that you can afford. Joe and Mary, does that sound good? Boom. You locked it down. There's no mutual mystification. Everyone knows what's going to happen from this point on. Okay, and that's where we do the fulfillment process, which is you put together the quotes, you let them pick the quote that they can afford. You find the one they can afford, and then we write it up, okay? You need to not upsell the client. There's no upsell here, okay? There's no upsell. You're not going to be an upselling agent. If anything, you are downselling the client. So let's say they pick the highest, most expensive option. Let's say that option is $325 a month, okay? You are going to ask that question. You're going to test that premium, okay? Test the premium. You're going to ask them, okay, Joe, Mary, okay, well, that's later, okay? The fulfillment is when you're putting together the options, they pick an option, right? Don't go, show them the higher premium, but show them the medium premium and a low premium. You got to show them enough of a range that they have something to choose from. Now, if they already have a policy in place and they're going to replace it with your policy because it's better, you need to make sure they understand why they're replacing it, because this policy is better than the one they currently have. I want you to understand, Joe and Mary, why you need this policy versus your old one, okay? Because if your old agent calls you and says, hey, how can you replace that policy? I want you to be able to tell that agent why, okay? And then you got to get them to sign the replacement form, okay, to make sure that everything's done properly. So once they pick the right options, then we're going to write it up, okay? Now, here's the thing when you start asking questions, health questions. One of the worst reasons to get declined is the client didn't disclose all their health issues, okay? Once you get that done to you enough, you are going to get insanely mad and you will start implementing these techniques, okay? So before you start asking health questions, you need to, in the recruiting business, we used to say, put a steel backbone into your client, okay? In other words, you got to make sure they don't lie to you and you tell them they can't lie to you, okay? But you don't say it like that. What you say is, now, Joe and Mary, you know, and I know that everything's in a database, right? So anytime you've got declined insurance in the past, any of your health conditions, heart attack, stroke, cancer, whatever is wrong with you is recorded in a central repository called the Medical Insurance Board. And that database is used by all insurance companies, whether it's health insurance, life insurance, any insurance companies, so they can look at your health conditions, okay? So they already know what medications you're taking. Any medications you've ever been prescribed, whether you took it or not, they're going to know that you got that prescribed. Okay, they're going to know all your surgeries. They're going to know everything wrong with you. All they're looking for is when we fill out this application, they want to make sure that you're disclosing everything. Okay. And if they find that you're not disclosing everything, they're going to think that you're lying about your health conditions, that you're trying to get away with getting underwritten without fessing up everything that's wrong with you. And we wouldn't want that, right? We wouldn't want the insurance company to think you're lying to them. Okay, would we? Because that would look bad on you. We need to disclose everything. We need to be as accurate. See, these are keywords, accurate as possible when we put this into the carrier. Joe and Mary, does that make sense? Okay, because here's what I've had in the past, Joe and Mary. So I'll tell you what, you get fanatical about pace and persistency. You're going to go this far, and you should. Okay, you're going to say, now look, I've had clients, they've been declined 3 or 4 times in the past with 3 or 4 different agents in the prior 1 or 2 years, and they think that I'm going to be the 6th agent, and they're still going to think that they're going to get underwritten if they don't tell the truth. Okay, it just cracks me up. They're just going to get declined again, right? If you've ever been declined, it's going to show up. It's going to show that you have a record of declines. They're going to know that there's something wrong with you. So let's just be as accurate, disclose everything that's wrong with you, every medication, every surgery that you can think of, so it doesn't look like you're trying to fib with an insurance company. Joe and Mary, does that sound fair? Like, I'm serious, man. You get to the point where you're sick and tired of being sick and tired of getting chargebacks, you get fanatical like this. But you got to do it nicely. okay, with a smile on your face. You got to be nurturing, okay? You're not being a jerk, okay? You're being nurturing. But I tell you what, you got to put a steel rod in their backbone. That's how we used to say it in the recruiting business. All right, let's go to the next. Oh, emergency response system. Okay, this is our referral system. How does this help placement and persistency? When you do the ERS system right, what you're going to do is get the emergency contact list from the client of all the closest friends and family that will know about their death or know about their critical illness or what issues that's going on with them. And we're telling them that they're going to call us. We're going to put them on your list. We're going to call them. We're not going to let them know what's in your policy, but we're going to let them know that I'm your insurance man and this is the insurance company. So here's my number. They put you on the emergency contact list. We've got detailed teaching on this. But when they give you their 10 to 20 names of people, they are tied to you now because you now have gotten their permission to contact all their friends and family. Are they likely to cancel their policy? No, because you've already told all their friends and family that they have this policy on your insurance agent. That's how you know that you got a solid sale. You don't do ERS, you're just asking for trouble. You need to do it not only to get referral opportunities, but it locks the client down for their placement of persistency. Does that make sense? It amazes me that people just blow off emergency response system, but they don't understand the value in placement of persistency. So some of y'all have these chargebacks that are going through the roof. It's because you're not doing ERS. I mean, come on, man. Don't you want to make money with us? Or do you want to just continue to hemorrhage your commissions? Okay? Like, there's a reason why we teach stuff is because it works. It'll help you become successful. It'll help make a lot of money. It will help you. We never teach anything that's going to hurt you or be inconvenient for you. Okay. Does that make sense? Honestly, I'm pleading with you to do the stuff that we teach because it's going to make you successful. When you cut corners and don't do what we teach, then you're going to get drummed out of the business. Now, look, if you want to treat this as a hobby, you certainly can, but you're going to make hobby income. Do you want to waste all your time that it took to get through the dadgum insurance course, and then you spent all that time studying for the test, you finally pass your license, and then you try to shortcut our system? Like, that's insanity, folks. I mean, seriously, you might as well not have even gotten your dadgum license, okay? Wow, I thought Alex was a nicer person on his videos. He's usually a nice guy. Gang, you want me to BS you? You want me to just, blow smoke up your skirt so you feel all good and, oh, I love insurance, and while you're going broke, okay? I mean, I'm not trying to offend you, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get you serious about this business. Look, you are in this business to make money, and I'm teaching you how to make money, okay? If you have ears, he who has ears, let them hear. She who has ears, let her hear, okay? All right, post-sale. This is where the nitty-gritty of placement and persistency is. This is where everything happens, good or ill. It's called a post-sale. This is the last step in our process, but it's an ongoing step that continues. This is the process that you continue to use every time. You cannot shortcut this or you're going to be broke, okay? Number one, reclose the premium amount. What I mean by that, you sold them a $325 policy, okay? $325 a freaking month. Like, that's some people's car payment, okay? I always have to question, can they afford it? So you should question, can they afford it? So you ask the client, hey, Joe and Mary, look, I want to make sure you can afford this. This $325 represents, Joe, your commitment to protect your family for the next 30, 40, 50 years that you're alive, right? I want to make sure that this is something you can afford month after month, year after year, decade after decade. Okay. So, for example, Christmas is coming in December, and then all your Christmas bills are going to hit you in January. Okay. When you see that $325 being drafted from your account on the 5th of January, are you going to look at Martha, and then are you going to call me and tell me you want to cancel, that you cannot afford $325 to make sure that your family doesn't have to do a GoFundMe page? Your family doesn't have to pass the hat. Okay. Can you afford $325? Then you shut the heck up and let them answer the question. Now, your clock should be ticking, because if you sense any delay in that answer, then you know there's something wrong with $325 a month. And you cannot start counting your dadcom commissions. Just say $325 a month. I'm going to make $2,000 on this deal. Oh my gosh. You are no longer welcome at the Abuyuan Financial Group when you start counting your commissions, because it's not about that. It's getting a client covered. Okay. If they're delaying, you go, it sounds like 325 is a little bit too much. Am I right, Joe and Mary? Is that a little bit pushing your budget? And you just shut up and let them sell you. This is your opportunity to make them sell you on that premium payment. Okay. Because what they'll say one of two things. No, we can do this, Alex. I can do this. I'm making this commitment. I can do it. 325, this is what we're going to do. And even if they say that, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to say, okay, well, let me ask you a question. You know that $200 option? Okay, it's not 25,000. It's 15,000. Look, 15,000 is a lot of money to go pay for your funeral. You may not get the best casket. You might get, instead of mahogany, maybe it's a lower, value wood. It's all going to go on the ground anyway. Okay, maybe it's not a velvet casket, but maybe it's corduroy. I don't know. All I'm saying is that it's 15,000, a little bit more affordable. Just $200. It's not 325. Christmas is coming. Summer vacation. I know you're probably going to spend some extra money summer vacation. Can you afford the $200 amount or the 325 amount? Again, you're making them justify that they can afford it. You're getting them to sell you on that premium payment, okay? So reclose it. Look, I don't give a crap if you're doing telesales, you're doing in-home appointments. You got to follow this process. Now, it doesn't got to take an hour to go through the post-sale. It only takes a few minutes, but you've got to implement the discipline, right? Okay, pre-deliver the policy. You can pre-deliver if you're doing in-home appointments. What I mean by pre-deliver, you tell the client, you go, Joe and Mary, would you like to see what your policy is going to look like? They go, what do you mean? Well, can I show you what your policy is going to look like when it gets issued? And they're going to say, yeah, I guess. So you go into your bag and you pull out your policy. Say, let me show you my policy, what I got for my family. Okay. It's with Forsters. So let me show you what yours is going to look like. You see this policy summary here? It says here, I got $150,000 to cover my mortgage. Your policy amount, you are applying for $25,000 whole life. It's going to go right here. Okay. And then all the different riders are going to go right here. You see the summary page. You're going to have a summary page that looks exactly like this. Okay. Now let's go to the premium payment page. Okay. You see the premium payment page here. This shows you every year what the annual premium is going to be for the rest of your policy. So if it's whole life, it's going to go the rest of your life. Do you see how this works? So there's no guessing at what you're paying. It's right here. Okay. Now here's the provision pages. Okay. So these are the pages that talk about the suicide clause. You know that, if you decide to commit suicide, wait until 2 years, because this policy will pay on a suicide. You just got to wait 2 years. And usually clients laughing, oh, yeah, I know. Just make sure you don't do it after 2 years. Okay. Until after 2 years. So these are the different policy provisions. Then here's the section that shows you how you can take payment. You can get, monthly payments for the rest of your life, or you can take payments however you want as a beneficiary. Okay. And then here's your section. There's a copy of your application. So you see all my application, your application is going to will go right in this section. Okay. So this is pretty cool. This is the contract. This is the insurance carrier saying that they're signing up to pay your benefits as long as you keep making your premium payment. Here, why don't you hold on to it? Take a look. And I give it to them. And their eyes light up because what you did was you created a real cool wacka, wacka, wacka. They get to touch it, feel it, look at it, smell it, lick it if they want to. It is a real live thing. You took a conceptual process of life insurance and embodied it in a physical thing. The touchy-feely clients, they all love this, man. What you did was you locked your sale down because you gave them something, okay? I don't know how you do it on telesale, unless you're doing a Zoom call. And look, if you're going to do a telesale, if you can get them on a Zoom call, way better because they get to see you. Then you can show them your policy like I'm showing you here. You see this here? See what I'm saying? So you can pre-deliver the policy. This is powerful. But Alex, I don't have a policy. Yes, then you need to get a policy. If you don't have a policy, you better dadgum get a policy. Why? Because you cannot lie and be a hypocrite to your client. Okay? Don't be a hypocrite. Don't have the moral authority because you have your own life insurance policy. Okay? And I'd suggest one that through us. Okay? Then you got something to show them. Like, please don't be a hypocrite. It's so hypocritical. If you don't get your own policy, so hypocritical. Like, I can go off for the next hour on that. Have the integrity to get your own policy. Number one, look, if you can't get over your own objections getting your own policy, how the heck are you going to be able to overcome a client's objections getting their policy? Does that make sense? It's like, come on, man. Get your own policy. Have that moral authority. When I first got my license, I got my policy right away because I wanted to be able to show the client. I was afraid that if the client said, well, what do you have, Alex? Lie to them? No, show it to them. Okay? This will lock down. I've made millions teaching this technique. Pre-deliver the policy. Protect your sale. So how do you protect your sale? Oh man, I'm going over an hour. I hope you guys can hang in there. I mean, you're here to get the good stuff, right? You're here to learn how to be profitable, make money, so please hang in there with me. How do you protect the sale? This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to test the client. I'm going to say, hey, Joe Mary, by the way, a lot of these agents, your form that you filled out might have gone to different agencies. You might have filled out 3 or 4 of these forms, and those went to other agents. So inevitably, you're going to have an agent, even the agent that covered you with your previous policy. Excuse me. They're going to call you, and they're going to make up some reason why they need to get into your house. And what they're going to try to do is talk you out of taking the policy, the policy I just sold you. Okay. So let me ask you, what are you going to do when an agent calls and says, I can show you a better policy, I can save you money, and they're going to try to talk your way in? What would you do? And I shut up. It's my test to see, did I do a good job? Did I serve them properly? If the client says, man, Alex, you did such a great job here, I'm not going to take their call. I'm going to just shut them down. I'm going to hang up the phone. Okay, awesome. I just wanted to make sure that you felt comfortable with this process and that I've gotten you the best program. Or they'll say, well, Alex, I'm a smart buyer. I want to see what they have to say. Oh, okay. Huh. Was there something I said or did that caused you not to trust that I got you the best policy out of our 55 carriers? No. I just want to make sure I'm doing the right thing. Well, I mean, I got you the best policy. We have 55 carriers. Okay. I'll tell you what, I am not going to submit this. If you feel that way, I don't feel like I did a good enough job for you. So I don't really think that we should continue on with this process. Tell you what, I'm just going to hold off on submitting this application. I will cancel it right now. And then when you feel ready, after you've done all your shopping, talk to me again, and then we can maybe take care of it later. Does that sound fair, Joe and Mary? And then you walk the hell out of there. Why should you stay there? Why should you humiliate yourself when the client didn't respect you enough to tell you that you did a good enough job? They're not going to entertain other agents coming in the house. Now, you got to have the balls to do that, right? You got to have the kahunas to walk out of there. Okay. Sorry for using such colorful language, but I got to make this point. You got to understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. You got to value your business. If you're going to be a wimpy salesperson begging client to buy from you, you are in the wrong business, baby. You are in the wrong business. Your job is not to make friends with the client. Your job is to take care of a client. You can become friends with a client that cares enough about their family to take care of it then and trust you to be the person to help them. You're not making friends until you know that they're that type of client. Does that make sense? So have honor and respect your business. That's all I'm saying. You got to be ready to walk the heck out of there if you think that they're going to let some Tom, Dick, and Harry agent come in and replace your policy. Does that make sense? Anyone have any questions about that? I'll take a sip of water. Anybody? Good. I hope I made my point. Okay, here's the thing that you have to do, and this is how you guard against buyer's remorse. You're going to tell the client, hey, Joe and Mary, I know you're going to have questions after I'm gone. Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to write down these questions over the next couple of days, and then I'm going to call you. Okay, today's Wednesday, Thursday. I'm going to call you Friday. Are you guys going to be home Friday night? Okay, I'm going to call you Friday night, and then I want you to read me the questions you have. Okay, so I want to make sure that you thoroughly understand everything that we did tonight. Does that make sense, Joe? Will you put together questions, and I'll call you in 2 days? Awesome. Now, here's what you do is you really call them back 2 days later. Number one, you're creating ultimate trust with the client because you're following through on a promise, right? Trust is built on kept promises. Okay, so you're going to follow through on the promise. And then you call them back 2 days later, and you're going to say, hey, Joe and Mary, Alex, how you doing? You guys doing good? Hey, listen, as I mentioned, I promised you I'd call you back a couple days and field whatever questions you have. Do you have any questions for me? And they might ask, yeah, Alex, we forgot when we were going to get the draft coming out of our account. Oh, yeah. I have here the 5th of every month. That should be next week. Okay, you still good with that date? Okay, or they're going to ask you, yeah, everything's good. We don't have any questions. We appreciate you coming to our house. Oh, awesome, great. Or, and this is what you're looking for, buyer's remorse. You're going to say, hey, Joe, Mary, Alex, I'm here to ask you questions. What questions do you have? Pause. And they're going to say, Martha and I are just, I use Martha and Mary, right? Biblical names. Martha and I have been, we're talking about it. And we just, the $325, I know what I told you, but, we're kind of looking at our budget and say no more. I would say, say no more. I kind of felt when I walked out of your house a couple of days ago, I just, I didn't feel like maybe. Tell you what, my last appointment is coming up today. I'll be done by 6. Why don't I swing by 15, 20 minutes? Let's take a look and see, if there are better options. Let's just revisit this. Okay, let's open it up again and let's, is that cool? Awesome. Yeah, it's okay. That's what you're looking for is buyer's remorse. You have a chance to save your policy because it's not, that decision isn't in cement. In other words, It's still fresh. It's still, the cement's still wet. Okay. You can go back in there and save the policy. Now, if you don't ever do this, they could have made that decision. You're calling them 2 weeks later and saying, hey, I see that the insurance company sent you your policy. Hey, listen, I can come over. And they say, no need to come over. Mary and I decided to cancel the policy. We already called the insurance company. They're going to cancel everything, but we appreciate your time, blah, blah, blah. Click. See, they had 2 weeks to solidify that decision that they're going to get rid of the policy. You know what I'm saying? And you, being stupid, didn't call when you said you would call to find buyer's remorse. I get agents say, well, Alex, if I call back, they're going to cancel. Dude, do that. Yes. You want to know that. Like, no mutual mystification. Like, don't fake yourself out. Again, 11th commandment is thou shalt not fooleth thyselfeth. Okay. Call them back in 2 days. Okay. You want to capture those opportunities to resell the client on a lower premium. You're not going to be able to do that if you don't know that they have buyer's remorse. You want to call them back in a couple days. Okay. You know what? You need to do what most agents won't do. Stephen Perkins, I save a policy like this today. Bro, rock on, dude. Seriously, man. Proud of you. Send a card, but don't send a thank you card. But Alex, I want to thank the client for their business. Let me ask you, does your doctor send you a thank you card after he's examined you, looked up your butthole, gave you a shot, looked down your throat? Thank you for the opportunity to look at your butthole. No, he doesn't do that. Why? Because you went to him because you wanted to get checked out. Okay, right? Well, you're the client's insurance doctor. So philosophically, I'm not into thanking a client for buying from me, because then it puts you in a weird position, like you were begging, thank you for helping me feed my family. I'm so happy that I'm just so overjoyed that you selected me to help you. Yes, you're thankful that you're the one to help them, but you know what? They should be freaking thanking you for spending your time away from your family, going to their house, learning about them, making a relationship with them, and taking care of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously, man. So they should be thanking you, but you need to send a card. And it's not a thank you card. It's like, hey, Joe and Mary, I really enjoyed getting to know you, and I'm very excited about being your agent. And I will help you with other things, hopefully. I just want you to know I'm here for you. Anything that you need, let me know. If you need some advice on anything, I'm here. You don't thank them, but you say, I appreciate the opportunity to sit down with you and help you guys out. Okay? Do that. Write it out handwritten. Now, there are services out there that'll do that for you. Okay, they have like this automated handwritten thing, but look, do it yourself, man. Come on, get your spouse to do it, get your kids, but do it. Because why? Because you will put yourself above 95% of other agents. I'm telling you what, man, agents, they're generally lazy. If you start doing this stuff, you put yourself in a different category of agent because you care. Okay. And then something that we've always done is we've done holiday cards to our clients. Okay. And my clients have watched my kids grow up from little to now we put them on our Christmas card list. But Alex, I've got 700 clients. But Alex, it's going to be expensive. And dude, do that. Seriously, you're questioning the veracity, it's like, seriously, I don't care if it costs you $700. Because why? Because that client's going to turn into an annuity. It's going to turn a Medicare policy. It's going to turn an estate plan. It's going to turn into assets under management. It's going to turn into multiple sales. So don't be so short-sighted in being so frugal, it's an investment in your future. Like, don't be a wimp, man. Put them on your holiday card list. Picture cards are the best. Okay. They appreciate it. All right. Holiday cards. It could be Christmas cards, Easter cards, whatever you want to do. Okay. Whatever. But send something. If this is a policy that's like a longer, like an IUL that takes some, because there's some underwriting going on, it's going to take a few weeks. Maybe the client has a issue that they have to request medical records. What you need to do is you need to check in with that client every dadgum week. You give them a call, say, hey, Joe, I know this IUL policy, it's going to be so great for you for tax-free retirement. I know you're putting in a couple thousand a month in it. I just want you to know that it's still in the underwriting process. They've requested your medical records from your doctor. And you know how it is. The medical records people are part-time. We're going to pound the phone. We might actually have you call the doctor's office to expedite it. Okay, I'll let you know if we need to do that. But I just want you to know things are progressing. You check with them every week, just to let them know things are progressing, because this could be a huge IUL where your commission is $25,000 on a really big IUL opportunity. Why leave it to chance? Some of these APSs will take 8 weeks, and the client hadn't heard from you in 8 weeks. They sat down with someone else and got this process started with someone else. You call them back going, hey, I saw that we got your medical records. It's in final underwriting. Oh, I thought we got declined. We're already going with another agent. They seem to have their process really down. I really like them a lot. Hey, appreciate your time. Click. Right? You just lost $25,000 in commissions because you did not check every week with the client. Just a phone call. That's all it is, or a text. Hey, just want you to know things are progressing. Okay, these are some of these longer ones that are going to be probably higher value ones, or if it's an annuity, hey, things are progressing. Just want to let you know, gang, don't leave anything to chance. If there's anything that's a bottom line here, never leave anything to chance. You leave it to chance, you are just begging for a chargeback. Okay. Personally deliver the policy. You know what? If you're doing in-home appointments, this is something you got to do. I don't care. People will disagree with me on this all day long, but I'm the one that's made 8 figures in this business, and they have not. So who are you going to listen to, me or some of these knucklehead agents that are like supposedly great producers, but their placement persistency sucks, where they've been almost fired by several carriers? It's like, deliver the dadgum policy. Sit down with the client. Say, hey, I saw that the carrier sent you your policy. Did you get that big envelope in the mail? Yeah, Alex, we got it. Hey, listen, I've got some time. You got time tonight? Why don't we open it up together, and I'm going to explain everything in it. Is that cool? Yeah, that's cool. Come on over. It's another touch point. It's another opportunity to get with the clients. It's another opportunity to create this great juju with them. And then what do? You do exactly what you did when you pre-delivered the policy. You go through all those same things. It's like deja vu, except it's going to have their name. It's going to have all their stuff on their policy. And here's the magic move. You're going to bring a 3x5 card, and you're going to ask the client, hey, Joe, Mary, just so I want to make sure, what were the reasons why you need this policy? I'm going to write them here on this 3x5 card. So give me the first reason. I want to Alex, I just want to make sure my family has the money to be able to pay the mortgage off, or to be able to take care of my funeral. Okay, so let me write this down. Make sure the family has the money to pay for the funeral. Can I add something in here, like, so they don't have to do a GoFundMe page? Is that cool to put that in, so they don't have to go through a GoFundMe? Okay, cool. Any other reasons why you can think of why you want this policy? Well, really, it's just give me peace of mind that my family's taken care of. Okay, so you're looking for peace of mind. So number 2, peace of mind. I'm putting them in this big Sharpie marker, the reasons on a 3x5 card. And I'm going to tell the client, you know what? Here's what I'm going to do. You take out your portable stapler, I'm going to put it right here in your policy, and I'm going to staple it here. So every time you look at your policy, you're reminded of why you got your policy. Is that cool? I'm just going to staple it on here. Click, click. There you go. Is that cool? Now, why do you do that? Because if they ever look at their policy and they think, oh, we need to get rid of this. I don't know if we can blah, blah, blah. They look on it and they see the top 2 reasons why they need this. It reminds them why they need this. Okay. They're going to see that and it's like, nah, you know what? We can $325. This is what we're going to do. Let's keep it. This is why you personally deliver a policy. This is why you're in control. This is why you're an agent that gives a crap about your client. So you make sure that the policy is going to stick and your client is fully served. Your job is to add value to the client's life. If you don't add value, then why should you get paid? You deserve a chargeback. Okay? And then, oh, Lord God, have mercy on me. Remind them about their first draft date. One of the reasons why people cancel is because they got drafted, they forgot. And then it got NSF. You got to call them saying, now, Joan Mary, let me write down the draft date on your policy. Okay, the draft date is the 5th of every month. Okay, so your first draft is going to come out. Now, sometimes they cash the check already. Okay. But before I leave their house, I go, now, want to remind you, your check, they're gonna take the money out right away. Okay, so do you have this $325? Because when they receive the application, they're probably going to draft your account tomorrow or the next day. Is that going to be there? Is there any problem with that? Okay. Now, if they put a date in the future, like on the 15th of every month, okay, Joan, and today's like the 5th, I go, now I want you to put on your phone, can you put in your calendar, first draft, $325, can you put like a reminder, alert, and just put like 15-minute thing in your calendar to remind you that it's coming out tomorrow. So on the 14th, can you put that in your calendar so you remember? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to call you maybe 3 or 4 days before the 15th, just to remind you that draft's coming out. So you just make sure, because I don't want any surprises. I don't want you to be surprised, or I don't want you mad at me that you got a draft that you didn't think you were going to, and it's $325. That makes sense. So I'm going to remind you. But if you put it in your calendar with an alert that says 325 premium coming out, does that make sense, John Mary? You use technology. They probably got an iPhone or an Android. They can put reminders in there and just have them put the reminder. Now, they might be 80 years old and they have a flip phone. Okay, call them up. Does that make sense? Remind them of first draft date. Gang, freaking cost sell other products. You sell them a hospital indemnity, an accident policy, a Medicare policy, a cancer, a heart attack, stroke policy. You added more opportunity, added more value to them. You become their, or an estate plan. Make $1,000, sell one of our estate plans to them. Lock it in by doing the cross-selling. Other products will lock that sale in. You're adding more value to them, but you got to make sure they can afford it. Again, it's selling the value, not the coverage per se, or, not the amount of the coverage, or sell the value, cross-sell. I think I have some more here. Oh yeah, do annual reviews. Do annual reviews. Take advantage of the CRM system and the Alliance CRM system that reminds you which policies, which clients are up for annual reviews, which clients are turning 65 so you can do Medicare, or give them to Joy to do the Medicare for them, who's having birthdays, so send them a birthday card. Okay, the Alliance CRM is a great one for clients. Okay, but you can, get into Go High Level or some other CRM system that will send them emails. Hey, how you doing? Just automated emails. There's some really slick technology. Use technology, man, to your advantage. Oh, man, it's 90 minutes. Okay, CRM. All right. I think that's it. Wow, this took, I didn't mean for this to take this long. Anyone got any questions? How many people are still on here? Did everyone leave? I don't even see how many are on. Anyway, gang. Oh yeah, I need to hit the participants. Anyone have any questions at all? I am animate about this because I have not been before. Okay, like I've been kind of letting it I've been lax about it before, and I'm no longer being lax about it. I'm militant, and I want you militant about running your business like a freaking business. You're a business person. You're the CEO, the CFO, and the COO of your agency. Okay, treat it like that, man. Don't be don't be frivolous with this opportunity. Okay, you got to be as serious as a heart attack to take care of business the way you're supposed to. Okay, does that make sense? Don't compromise. No shortcuts. All right. Anyone have any questions?
Alex, can you explain the process real quick of what it, when someone says, "Oh, I think we need to reduce our premium," is it a matter of a phone call, or do you have to actually submit a new policy, or how does that work?
Um, I would just go in and I'd cancel the policy, or I call them later. I would call the carrier and tell them that we need to drop it, we need to reduce it. Okay. Sometimes you can unlock the signature, right? You can unlock the signature and then cancel the signature and revise the premium and then lock it back and then send it out again. If they've already signed for it, then you just call the carrier, say, hey, listen, we need to drop the premium. All right.
All right, thanks.
Each carrier's gonna be a little different. But here's the thing, like, I don't care what it takes. Okay. I don't care what you have to do. If they can't afford it, you need to bring it down. So every carrier's gonna be a little bit different, right? Or you do it before you send the signature, get the signature sent out. You go over it again. Now you move that through to the beginning before you send the signatures out. Okay, you do that post sell before you hit the button. Okay. So good question. Anyone else? Silence. All right, we lost 2 or 3 people. Good. I think they probably got it down. All right, gang. Well, I can't think of a better thing to do on my birthday is to go over placement and persistency with you. And you know what? I hope you understand the power of what this can do for your business. Tomorrow, Adam Katz and I are going to do the activity call. So we're going to hit that hard. And we're going to go hardcore on you. All right. You thought this was hardcore. Tomorrow, we're not going to pull any punches. Like, seriously, tell you what, man, beware. It's kind of like spare the rod, right? The parent that spares the rod, is not a good parent, the permissive parent. Tomorrow we're going to go into, how to make sure that you operate your business properly with the right mindset and not compromising so that you go broke. We're going to teach you how to be wealthy. Okay. And I've been blessed by doing all the right things with discipline. And we're going to just be straight up with you. Our theme of our talk is, I don't know if you ever seen that, what is that? Bob Newhart, the Bob Newhart video. I'll bury you alive in a box. You need to look that up on YouTube. That's going to be a theme about tomorrow. Okay. We're not going to pull any punches. My buddy Adam Katz will be the Hebrew hammer, and I will be the Asian persuasion. All right. We're going to tag team you. I'm going to hit you upside the head in a nice and kind way because we love you. All right, gang. Rock on. Happy birthday to me. And I'm glad to have another year on this earth. So rock on. We'll see you guys later. Take care.
Happy birthday, Alex. Thank you.